Ain't on, Judge. I reckon she about ready. All rise, honorable Judge Judy. Tori, what's her name? Lori. Come on up.
You may be seated. Welcome to today's trial. You will have Miss Truth against Mr. Slickster. Mr. Slickster, would you like to call your first witness?
Well,
Or would you like to make an opening statement?
I would like to make an opening statement, if that pleases the court.
It does.
I really appreciate everyone coming out today. Appreciate all the witnesses taking time out of their busy schedules. But the question before the court today is something that the scientific community has actually decided years ago. It is a question about the age of the Earth. And I can guarantee if you were to read 90% of science textbooks, every one of them will say the Earth is billions of years old. And the scientific community cannot be wrong. And in this case today, we are going to very clearly demonstrate the puny-brained attempts of some so-called scientists to claim that the Earth is a mere 6,000 years old. It makes me laugh to even say it. 6,000 years old? You will see the absurdity of that idea when we finish today. Thank you.
Miss Truth, would you like to make your opening statement?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Slickster would have you believe that evolution can be proven, that it's scientific, that there's facts supporting it. He's going to try to bring up some witnesses to prove that, but there is no proof. Because evolution is just a belief that people have. They can't prove it. It's not scientific. The evidence does support that the Earth is about 6,000 years old, and we will prove that today. Thank you.
Good luck.
Mr. Slickster, would you care to call your first witness, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call to the stand Frank Fibmaster.
Bailiff, will you please swear in this witness?
Oh, I reckon we got a Bible. Please right hand Bible. Right out through nothing but truth. Help y'all. I do. Thank you.
Please, state your name and occupation for the court.
My name is Frank Fibmaster, and I'm an author.
Please, be a little more specific, Mr. Fibmaster. What kind of an author are you?
Oh, I haven't got it.
I'm a very good author. That's what my mom told me.
Mr. Fibmaster, please, I don't care what your mom thinks about your writing.
Don't talk about my mom! That's what I want is to please my mom my whole life. Do you know, I can't do this!
There.
You're gonna talk about my mom, I just can't.
It's all right. Mr. Slickster, please. Refrain from these hurtful
But
statements.
this is ridiculous. You're supposed to be my witness, and you're acting like a big baby.
Mr. Slickster,
I can't do it.
Mr. Slickster, that's enough. I'll hold you in contempt. Please, just question the witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Fibmaster, I am sorry. Now, please continue. What kind of an author are you?
I write science textbooks.
And how many years have you been writing science textbooks?
20 years.
In these science textbooks, do you write about the age of the Earth?
Of course, the age of the Earth is one of the most important things that I write.
Aha, one of the most important things you write about. Now, in these science textbooks, how old do you say the Earth is?
I say 4.6 billion years old, yes.
4.6 billion years old. And is that just your opinion, or does the rest of the scientific community agree with you?
Well, everyone, except for a few kooks and weirdos. Just a few.
And by kooks and weirdos, do you mean Christians?
Yes, you know, what a bunch of fruitcakes. You know, they believe the Earth is about 6,000 years old. I mean, how stupid is that? I write science textbooks, and the science textbooks say that. the Earth is 4.6 billion, then it has to be true.
That's right. If the science textbooks say it is 4.6 billion years old, it has to be true, case closed. No further questions.
Miss Truth, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Fibmaster, interesting name. You know, many people say that a name says a lot about us.
Objection, Your Honor. Just because his name would seem to indicate that he might be some kind of a master liar or something like that. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, look at me. My name is Sammy Slickster. Does that mean I'm some kind of a slick, sleazy lawyer? I mean, come on.
Sustained. Miss Truth, please proceed with your questions.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Fibmaster, you're a science textbook writer for how many years?
20.
And you said that whatever you write in a science textbook is automatically correct because you wrote it.
That's right. You'd be a fool to question anything that's in a science textbook. Science has never been wrong. And to question, it means you're just dumb.
So because it's in a science textbook, it means it's right. Your Honor, I would like to introduce into evidence Exhibit A. This is a science textbook written by Mr. Fibmaster 19 years ago. Mr. Fibmaster, please turn to page 135 and read the highlighted portion.
There are 9 planets in our solar system. The last planet is Pluto.
So, Mr. Fibmaster, how many planets are in our solar system?
Well, there are 8 planets.
But I thought you just read from the science textbook
Well,
that there are
it's-
9 planets.
I did, but you
And if
know.
it's written in your science textbook, it's automatically true. That's what you said, right?
Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution is making my witness look stupid.
Overruled. I'm sorry, Mr. Slickster. He's your witness. You put
Fair.
him on the stand. If it doesn't line up with what you want, it's your fault. Now you have to answer the question, please. Didn't you say everything in the textbook is automatically true?
Yes, but that's different. It's too complex to explain right now.
I don't think it's too complex at all, Mr. Fibmaster. Science textbooks aren't always correct. Just because something is written in a science textbook does not automatically mean it's true. And thank you, Mr. Fibmaster, for proving that for us today. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Fibmaster, you may step down. Mr. Slickster, please call your next witness.
I would like to call to the stand John Taylor, please.
Mr. Taylor, please be sworn in by me.
Stand right over here.
Why?
Place my hand on my, place your hand in the air and put it back down again. That's like, that's, you swear don't do nothing, that's true, so here we go.
Please state your name and occupation for the court.
Yes, my name is John Taylor, but everyone calls me Tall Tail because I'm real tall.
I would have rather you not tell us that today, but I guess it's too late. Anyway, please continue. What is your occupation?
Well, I'm a dating expert. I've been doing it since 1983.
Objection, Your Honor. I don't see what Mr. Talltail's love life and fear of commitment have to do with this case here today.
Good point. Mr. Slickster, where are you going with this?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. What my witness really meant to say...
Objection, Your Honor. Now Mr. Slickster is not only trying to ask his questions, he's trying to tell his witness what he's trying to say.
Mr. Slickster, what are you trying to have here? A circus? Get on with your
I'm
case
sorry.
right now, or just I'll have you in
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I won't do that again. Mr. Talltail, Mr. Tail,
Yes.
please clarify for the court what you mean when you say you're a dating expert.
No problem. I mean that I am an expert in using scientific dating methods to determine how old the Earth is.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Mr. Tail, you say you've been in this field of study since 1983, isn't that right?
That's right.
Now, are you considered an expert in your field?
Yes, I have had 25 published works dealing with scientific dating methods.
Okay, please tell the court a little bit about these published works.
Well, the most well-known works are the 3 books that I've written. The first book is called The Tall Tales of Scientific Dating Methods. My second book was called More Tall Tales of Scientific Dating. And my third book was called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Tall Tales Scientific Dating.
Your Honor, I would like to make a motion that we have those titles stricken from the record. Can we have those removed?
Are you kidding? This is a courtroom. Just because these titles don't make your witness look credible doesn't mean you can just have them stricken.
All right,
Now
all right.
proceed.
Now, in your scientific work, have you ever performed any scientific dating methods on, let's say, rocks to see how old they are?
Yes, of course.
And what are the results that you have gotten?
Well, most of the time, the results that we've gotten when we dated different layers of rock on the earth lead us to conclude that the rocks are millions of years old.
And have you performed similar scientific dating studies on fossils or remains of living things?
Yes, that is correct.
And what are the results of those studies?
Again, most of the time, we come to the conclusion that they are millions of years old.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Truth, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Talltale,
Yes.
you're a scientific dating expert, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And how did you get into this field of study?
Well, I have loved dirt and rocks, so I figured why not devote my life to figuring out how old Earth is.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you performed your scientific dating methods on rock layers all over the place, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And if I heard you right, you said that most of the time, the test results lead you to conclude that the different rock layers are millions of years old, right?
Yes, most of the tests.
So you run hundreds of tests, and in the end, you only come up with one conclusion? Is that because all the test results agree?
Well, yeah, that's right. We usually run hundreds of tests of the same rock to get the best results.
So when you run millions of tests, all those tests agree?
Oh, no, ma'am. We are lucky if we get 2 of the test results that agree. We usually get all kinds of results on the tests that we perform.
Is that true on the test of fossils and remains of living things also?
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you ever get test results that would seem to indicate that the rocks and fossils are only a few thousand years old instead of, say, millions of years old?
Yes, in fact, most of the test results indicate that the rocks and fossils are only a few thousand years old, but we know that all those results can't be right because they don't fit in the theory of evolution, so we just toss it to the side.
So you basically test these things, get lots of results saying that they're only 1,000 years old, but you don't like that result, so you keep on testing and testing until you get a result you like that matches up with your theory, and that's the result you use?
Yes, that is correct.
No further questions.
You may step down, Mr. Tail. Mr. Slickster, do you have another witness?
Yes, I would like to call Gloria Gullible to the stand.
Yeehaw!
Taylor, please swear in Miss Gullible.
You can stand right there.
Hi, Mom. Is this going to be on TV?
Sure, man. Put your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, number 2, tell the truth?
By golly, I do.
Oh, help yourself, right there.
Please state your name and occupation for the court.
Well, I'm just so happy to be here today. I can't tell you how exciting this is. My name is Mrs. G. Golly Gullible. Isn't that the cutest thing you ever heard? Well, this is just, thank you, Ms. Judge, for having me here today.
Please, Miss Gullible, spare us your life story. Just your name and occupation, please.
Oh, okay, I hear you. My name is Miss G. Golly Gullible, and I'm a high school teacher over at that school down the block.
Now, Miss Gullible, how long have you been teaching high school science?
Oh, it's been about 12 years, I'd say.
And during those 12 years, do you ever discuss the age of the Earth?
Oh, well, we most surely do, young man. It's one of my most favorite topics.
Well, if it is one of your most favoriteest topics, I guess you put in a lot of time studying the subject,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I most surely have.
Okay. In all the years of your vast study, what is the conclusion that you come to about the age of the Earth?
Well, one of my most favoriteest books is written by that there young man over there named Mr. Fitmaster. Why, I read in his book that the earth is billions of years old, and by golly, I believe it.
And is that what you teach your students?
Well, of course. If it's written in a textbook, everyone knows that it's got to be 100% true.
That's right. If it's in a textbook, it has got to be true. No further questions.
Ms. Drew, would you like to cross-examine?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Your Honor. Miss Gullible, hi. Since I recall reading something about you recently in the newspaper.
Oh, yes, well, I'm really mighty proud of that. That was, actually my whole face was in the newspaper. I'm hoping this is going to be my second opportunity.
So, refresh my memory. It seems like it had to do with, an email scam.
An email scam? I don't really think we could call it a scam. What happened was I have this relative that contacted me by email. I mean, I didn't even know he existed. And he told me that he'd been busy and he'd been working in this faraway country called Nigeria. And he'd been selling these toothbrushes, these electric toothbrushes to these drug lords. And they were buying them. They had all sorts of money and they were buying them by the millions. And well, he told me that he was going to give me some of his money. All he needed was my bank account. And so, well, I gave him my bank account information. I thought, wow, this is just going to be wonderful. I'm going to have all this money. And, well, the weirdest...
So what happened?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't see the relevance of Miss Gullible's lack of common sense to this court case today.
Ms. Drew, where are you going with this?
Your Honor, I am simply establishing the witness's character and habitual practice of being easily tricked.
Well, yeah, that's kind of true. I do get tricked a lot.
Very well, proceed.
Okay. Miss Gullible, please tell the court what happened with the Nigerian email scam.
Well, I gave him my bank account information, and next thing I know, I looked in every day. I've been looking. Is my money there? Is my money there? Well, one day I looked, and actually, even the money I had in there was gone. All of it was gone. I know it was just some mistake. I know this wonderful relative of mine is going to return it all, and he's going to put that money in there, and it's going to come up any day now.
So, you actually believe that you're going to get millions of dollars deposited in your bank account?
Yes, I mean, he sent it to me in the email, of course.
Do you believe just about anything you read?
Well, I mean, not anything, but if it's written in a book, well, yeah, I believe it. It's in the book.
So is that how you decided that you believe the age of the earth is actually billions of years old?
Well, yeah, I mean, Mr. Goodmaster, he's right there. He's a real person, and he wrote it in that book, and I believe him.
Miss Gullible, I have something here I would like for you to read. Your Honor, I would like to introduce this into evidence as Exhibit B. This is a science textbook that is currently being used at Athens Christian High School. Miss Gullible, please open the book to page 85 and read the highlighted portion.
It says here, okay, although many scientists claim that the earth is billions of years old, the truth of God's word tells us that the earth is only about 6,000 years old and was created in 7 days.
What do you think about that, Miss Gullible?
Well, I believe it's true. I mean, it's written in the book. I guess it's right. 6,000 years.
Objection, Your Honor.
On what grounds?
Well, I don't know, but she can't do that. She's supposed to be my witness.
Overruled. Sit down, Mr. Slickster.
So Miss Gullible, just clarify for the court now how old do you think the earth is?
Well, 6,000 years. I just read it in this book.
No further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Gullible, you can sit down.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Bye, Mom. Bye, Mom.
Okay. Mr. Slickster, does the defense have any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor, the defense rests.
Thank you. Ms. Truth, you may now call your first witness to the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to call Dr. Benjamin Van Lanningham to the stand.
Bailiff, would you please swear in Mr. Van Lanningham?
I surely will. Right on your hand. Raise my hand, right? Please bear no to don't do nothing but yourself. Gone. That's it.
Good morning. Please state your name and occupation for this court.
I am Dr. Benjamin Van Lanningham. I am an astronomer. I study outer space.
So, in your studies of outer space, have you ever studied the moon?
Why yes, it is one of my areas of expertise. I studied the moon for 25 years and have traveled to the moon twice.
Wow, that's amazing. So, in all those years of study. Have you found any specific scientific facts about the moon that would help us to determine how old the Earth is?
Actually, yes, I have. One of the facts about the moon that is quite fascinating is that it is moving farther from the Earth every year. Each year, the moon moves about 4 feet farther away from the Earth.
So how does that help us determine how old the Earth is?
Since we know that the moon is moving farther away from the Earth, if we were to go back in time, it means that the moon used to be closer to the Earth. And if we were to go only 20,000 years back in time, the moon would be so close to the Earth that it would flood the whole Earth with its tides every 12 hours.
So what you're saying is that the Earth cannot possibly be more than 20,000 years old at a maximum based on the moon's distance to the Earth.
That is exactly right. But it gets even better when we talk about comets.
How so?
Comets are giant balls of flying ice through space, and then it gets closer to the sun, they start falling apart. That is what creates those giant tails. Now, it has been calculated that based on how quickly these comets begin to break apart, that they cannot possibly last any longer than 10,000 years.
Huh. So that means that the universe can't possibly be older than 10,000 years, right?
Again?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Slickster, you may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Von Lombingham, so you say you are an expert astronomer. Have you ever written any books on astronomy?
Actually, yes, I've written 435 books on astronomy.
Oh, well, if you are an expert in astronomy, perhaps you can tell me the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
Yes, it is 1 astronomical unit.
Okay, so you're an expert on the moon.
Yes.
How can anyone say they're an expert on the moon when they've never been there?
Actually, I have been there. I already said I've been there twice.
Wow. This guy's good. All right, I have a question for you. How old do you believe the Earth to be?
I believe the Earth is 6,000 years old.
There you see? He disagrees with 95% of the scientific community. Your Honor, I make a motion that his testimony be stricken. He cannot be trusted.
Mr. Slickster, you're being ridiculous. Just because he is making you look like your defense is worthless doesn't mean you can just strike his whole testimony.
It was worth a try. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, doctor. You may step down. Ms. Truth, would you like to call your next witness?
Yes, I would like to call Dr. Ramona Digit to the stand.
Bailiff, would you please swear in the witness?
Step on stand. Right hand right. Right other. Hold your true. Slip. Go.
Did she understand her oath? Because I didn't really understand that oath. Are you going to tell the truth?
Of course I am.
Mr. Slickster, please.
Ms. Digit, please state for the court your name and occupation.
Well, my name, as is already mentioned, is Dr. Ramona Digit. I am a statistician.
Objection, Your Honor. Nobody in this courtroom, other than Dr. Romeo over there, has any idea what that even means. I make a motion this testimony be stricken from the record.
Order. Order in the court.
Okay. Now that we've got order, we can move on.
That's right, Judge. You listen to that stricker over there. I ain't got no idea what that doctor is talking about. He's
Order.
right.
Order in the
Strickler's
court.
right.
Order in the court. Order, ma'am. I will not tolerate outbursts like that in my court. You need to sit down and listen to the proceedings.
Okay,
I'll have to
Laurie.
have you arrested.
That's right, Laurie.
That's your honor to you, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed, Ms.
Thank you. All right. So, Dr. Digit, as we were moving right along,
You couldn't be serious, are you?
Watch it, watch it. You're on thin ice. Please proceed.
thank you. Dr. Digit, please explain to this court and to this lovely, incredibly loud woman over there exactly what a statistician is?
I am an expert in statistical analysis. I work with math and numbers all day long, and I'm an expert in mathematical calculations.
So, do you also have another field of expertise where you apply your knowledge of mathematics?
Yes, I use my knowledge of mathematics to study population growth patterns.
And how can you apply the study of growth populations? How does that help us?
Well, actually, it is used for all kinds of things. But the only thing that is relevant to this court is that we can even project how large the population will become in the future, and we can also go back in time and calculate approximately when the human race started.
Objection, Your Honor. There is no way that math can actually be used for something useful like that. I mean, everybody knows math is just something you study in school and then you never use it again. And if Dr. Dingbat's going to try to convince us that she can somehow predict when the population started, she'd need a time machine for that.
Mr. Slickster, please sit down before you embarrass yourself.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Dr. Digit, based on your calculations, how long ago did the human race begin?
Approximately 4,400 years ago.
There you go, Judge. Case closed. The Bible is a sham. It's a
Order
big scam.
in the court. Bailiff, we need to have this woman arrested.
It's a big scam. All they want is your money. Evolution is right.
Get out of here.
The Bible was true.
Order in the court.
Come here, ma'am.
Ma'am.
We all come from money.
Hey, 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 hey,
Aliens. Close case, Judge. Close the case. Close the case.
Order in the court.
Close the case, Judge. Close it.
Ma'am,
Bailiff, have this
take out your order. One at a time. I'm going to have to tase you. Don't say don't tase me, bro. Okay, I got you.
Close case. Close case. Close it.
order
We're from
in
monkeys.
the court. Order in the court.
All right, man.
Please. Order in the gallery. All right. Now that we've had this disruption removed, Ms. Truth, you may proceed.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Slickster, you may cross-examine the witness.
Gladly. Dr. Dr. Digit. Clearly the Bible would seem to indicate life began 6,000 years ago. Yet, you say your calculations indicate life beginning only 4,400 years ago. Now, doesn't that clearly indicate that the Bible is a book of fables and that we all came from monkeys millions of years ago?
Actually, no.
And how can you say that? Clearly there is a discrepancy here of 1,600 years. And any rational person, it becomes very obvious that we came from monkeys. Now, how can you deny that?
Actually, it doesn't. The Bible does say that human life began 6,000 years ago with Adam and Eve. But the Bible also talks about the worldwide flood that wiped out the entire human race except for Noah and his family. Would you like to guess how many years ago that event occurred?
Actually, no, I wouldn't.
Well, actually, according to the Bible, it began 4,400 years ago. So the entire human population that we have today was started 4,400 years ago, just as my calculation demonstrates.
No further questions.
You may step down, Mr. Truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Truth, you may call your final witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to call Dr. Darla Dirt to the stand.
Bailiff, will you please swear in Ms. Dirt?
Mr. Maxwell. I will attempt to enunciate for Mr. Slickster.
Thank you.
Please I have my. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and no truth? So help you God.
You must be from Alabama. I did.
Please state your name and occupation for the court.
My name is Dr. Darla Dirt. Self-elect. I'm an earth scientist.
So, how long have you been studying the earth?
22 years?
Objection, Your Honor. 42 years? I mean, look at her. Clearly, she can't be more than... She's not old enough to have been studying for 22 years. I mean, that is just not possible.
Are you serious, Mr. Slickster? Dr. Dirk, just to satisfy Mr. Slickster's objections, could you please clarify how old you are?
She can't be more than 28.
Thank you, Mr. Slickster, for that compliment, but I'm 36 years old, and my father was a renowned earth scientist, still is, and I've been studying with him since I was 14.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Slickster, you are overruled. Please continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Dirt, as an earth scientist, are there any particular aspects of the earth that you specialize in?
Yes, most of my work has been centered around the study of the Earth's age.
Okay, before we get into the specific data related to this study, please state for the court your belief about how old the Earth is.
Based on observation and study, I believe the Earth to be 6,000 years old.
Objection, Your Honor. Dr. Dirk's opinion is just wrong. I move that we have her testimony straightened.
Overruled. Mr. Slickster, once again, you cannot just have the testimony stricken because you think that she is wrong.
Sorry, Judge.
All right, so you concluded the Earth to be about 6,000 years old based on your scientific work.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you please mention one specific detail from your scientific work that brings you to this conclusion?
Sure. One area of study that I've been focusing on for about 10 years now is the speed that the Earth is rotating. The speed of the Earth's rotation has been slowing down for as long as data has been kept. That means every year that passes, the Earth is spinning slower and slower. So every 2 years, we have to add a few seconds back on our clocks to make up for the slowing down. Since we know the Earth's rotation is slowing down, if we were to go back in time, it means the Earth's rotation would be faster. If we go back only 20,000 years, the Earth would be spinning so fast we'd have regular winds blowing up to 5,000 miles an hour. Now, a hurricane blows 150 miles an hour. You can't even stand in that.
So, wow, so we would like just all fly off.
Exactly.
Okay. Are there any other details that convince you that the Earth is only 6,000 years old?
Yes, I've been focusing on the study of the oldest naturally occurring climates and organisms. For example, the largest desert in the desert region on the Earth is the Sahara Desert in Africa.
Objection, Your Honor. Everyone knows the Sahara Desert is in Arizona. Obviously, she's incompetent. I move that she be stricken.
Actually, the Sahara is in Africa. The Sonoran Desert is in Arizona, Mr. Slickster. Perhaps I should have you dismissed as incompetent. You may proceed. You may proceed.
Well, the Sahara Desert, which probably most fifth graders in here know that is in North Africa, is growing about 4 feet every year, which means that if we go back in time, the Sahara Desert would be 4 feet smaller every year. So that means that it started forming shortly after the flood. The Sahara Desert would be about 4,200 years old. Also, we've calculated the growth rate of the largest coral reef on Earth, which is the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. It is 4,000 years old, and the oldest tree known is 4,000 years old.
So you believe that the reason all the naturally occurring climates and organisms are only 4,000 years old is because everything prior to that was destroyed in the flood.
That's correct. The Earth itself is 6,000 years old, but everything on Earth was destroyed by the flood. So the oldest things we can find today are about 4,000 years old.
I have no further questions.
All right, Mr. Slickster, you may cross-examine the witness.
All right. Dr. Dirt. What an interesting name you have there, Doctor.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Dirtball, I'm going to be the one asking the questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Dirt. I will be the one asking the questions, and you give me the answers that I want. Right?
Whatever you say.
Now, you claim to be a scientist. And as a scientist, I am sure you are good at figuring out codes.
I hope so.
All right, I have a little code for you here. What is the plural of the word million?
Millions.
Very good. How about the plural form of the word million?
Billions.
Okay. Let's create a little scientific formula. Let's say that the word Earth equals billions. And let's say that the word age equals millions. Got it?
Okay.
Okay, remember the code. Age is millions, Earth is billions. So if I were to ask you to solve this scientific question, age plus Earth equals...
Millions and millions.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Dirt has just stated age in Earth equals millions and billions.
That's ridiculous. I did not say the Earth is billions of years old.
Mr. Slick.
Ma'am, that will be all. No further questions.
Mr. Sit down. Thank you, Dr. Drew. Ms. Truth, do you have any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor, the prosecution rests.
All right, then. We will conclude with the closing arguments. Slickster, you may begin with your
Thank you.
argument.
I really don't even know that I need closing arguments because the case that you have just seen is so clearly in my favor. Clearly, my witnesses were by far superior. Although Miss Goebel was tricked by some deceitful tactics, the truth is that she, along with the rest of the scientific community, know that the Earth is billions of years old. And you saw these so-called experts, these doctors. They're lying to you. They are liars and cheats. All they want is you to join their church so they can get your money. The Earth is billions of years old. Case closed.
Thank you, Mr. Slickster. Ms. Truth, you may make your closing argument.
Thank you. Very smart and esteemed jury. In case you didn't notice, Mr. Slickster's closing arguments consisted of nothing but name-calling. That's because he doesn't have a case. His witnesses, he had Frank Fibmaster, who wrote a textbook that contradicts the textbooks he writes today. And then he even admitted it. He had Tall Tale. I mean, he spins quite a tall tale. Can't figure out how to tell the truth. And Gloria Gullible there, she still thinks millions are going to be deposited into her bank account. But what did she say at the end of her testimony? Ah, yes, she said that she now believes the Earth is 6,000 years old. Mr. Slickster was not able to do anything with my witnesses because they are using the evidence. The Bible says that the Earth is 6,000 years old. And all of their evidence backs that up. The flood destroyed everything 4,000 years ago, which is why we can't find a shred of evidence that anything living is older than 4,000 years. Our esteemed astronomer, he showed us that the moon would cause tides. We would all be flooded if the Earth was that old. So, when the case comes to you, don't pay attention to the name calling, pay attention to the evidence, and decide what is right. The Earth is 6,000 years old.
Thank you, Ms. Truth. All right, you have heard the evidence, and now we will leave the jury to deliberate and make their ruling and come to a decision. Morgan, do you, does the jury have a decision?
Yes, I do.
What is the jury's decision?
We have favor of the prosecutors that the age of the Earth is actually 6,000 years.
Age of the Earth is 6,000 years old. Case dismissed.
Mr. Slickster, I will see you before next week.
Perhaps we should all rise for the dismissal of the judge.
All rise.